Good morning and welcome to the last part of my building of the DJH A8 kit, and we have got to the stage now where we can assemble all the sub-assemblies into the final locomotive, although it won't be entirely finished because I'm not going to show putting the transfers on and the lining and numbering or anything else like that. If you would like to see the locomotive when it's finished, then you'll have to watch out for my new video series which will be coming soon about the building of my layout, because this is the first locomotive for my layout. So what's happened is, while I've been doing the videos for the show, the locomotive has been in the airing cupboard. It was painted using Halford's primer and Halford's black paint with a little bit of finishing with the details using Revel acrylics and various other paints that I have, which are downstairs. So that's the body, and the body will need lining, and the boiler band's doing obviously and numbering. We have the cab controls, the cab interior all painted up nicely. We have the roof, we have the bunker, and we have the two inside spectacle plates. Now I've done the glazing on these, and this is the whole point of having it, is so that you can do the glaze, and they form a sandwich, and the glazing is included in the kit. There's sufficient in the kit with a bit left over, and what I've done is I've glued the plastic to the brass spectacle plates after painting, and I use this. Right, this is Revel Contact Clear. It's a canopy glue, just like everyone recommends. There is an alternative. This is another good adhesive for doing this. It's GS Hypo, which you can get from Hobbycraft, or you can buy it from Amazon or eBay. This is very good. It's used by jewellers to repair watch faces, and it's capable of gluing and not leaving a mark behind. So that's what I've used to glue the glazing in, and what we're going to do is we're going to assemble all this. There's a couple of pieces that will need to be glued on, but the cab interior just slides up from underneath, and it fits with two M2 bolts. The thing about this locomotive was that it was the first locomotive, like I mentioned, that I've started for my northeastern region layout, and it was difficult for me because I was thinking about going DCC with this, with my layout, but there was no DCC sound project for the A8. Obviously they were all scrapped by 1951. There are no preserved ones, and there were only 45 of them, and there wasn't the sort of interest necessary in doing a sound project for it, and there isn't a 001, so there isn't really a hope. But what I discovered on doing a little bit of research was that the A8 had the same cylinder size as the schools, and it's a 3-cylinder locomotive like the schools. So what I've done is I've taken the plunge and I bought from YouTube's, I bought a sound fitted Zemo MX6545R. The green thing is speaker, and it's fitted with a schools, loaded with a schools sound project. And what I've done is I've made a little adapter for the chassis. I could have bought it, but I've got loads of 8-pin DIL sockets with turned pins, so I've made my adapter using one of those, cut it down the middle, small piece of Veriboard, and then I've used the appropriate coloured wires from my bag of scrap wires to make the adapter up. Now what I'll do is I'll fit all this, but the locomotive won't be fully finished with the lining. So this bag contains all the stuff that we need to fit, and I've got some Slater's couplings. I've got the hardware, the screws that are necessary to fit the chassis and the cab in, they're all M2. I've got the buffers with the nuts ready to be fitted, and finally I have got, which I ordered from Narrow Planet some time ago, I've got some Darlington Works plates. You can't see them, they're quite small. Darlington Works plates 1528, because that was the number of this when it was an NERD class 444 when it was converted. And I've got a 69875 cab number plate, sorry, spoke box number plate, and a 51F shed plate for West Auckland. So these will all be fitted as 69875. You might just be able to see it. So I'll fit all that, and I'll come back and show you when it's all fitted. And on another final note, I've decided that for my next locomotive project it will be another NER locomotive, and I've ordered a G5 from DJH, and I'm waiting for it to be delivered. The G5 DJH kit is what's known as a starter kit, so you get everything in it that you need to finish. You get the wheels, you get the motor, you get the gears, you get everything that you need to build the locomotive. It will be 67342, and I will do it much the same as I've done this. However, this time round, because I've got all the necessary equipment I've acquired over time doing this video, which I didn't have to start when I did this series of videos, there will be more close-ups of construction which you might find a bit more useful. However, I did point out at the start, for this particular one I wouldn't be showing you techniques on how to make it, because it's not the kind of model that you would tackle from being a complete beginner. You have your own way of doing things, I have my way of doing things, and they might not coincide. So, but with the G5 is sold as a beginner's kit, and I will be making that more in close-up than I have done with this one. So I'll go and start putting all these bits together, and then I'll come back and show you the finish article, less the transfers that are still to be done. And like I said, if you want to see the finished locomotive, watch out for my new series of videos which are to do with the building of my layout. Okay, so I'll be back shortly with the completed locomotive. Okay, we've done everything. We have assembled it, put it together, put the buffers on, put the number plate on, put the works plates on, glued the bunker in, fitted the 2 internal spectacle plates. One comment about this: the front spectacle plate doesn't actually sit level with the one that's part of the body. You have to make sure that it sits lower inside. That way the 2 spectacle plates, the front and the rear one, that makes sure that they match up. If you build this as per the instructions, you will have already fitted the roof before you come to do this. And if the roof is fitted, it will only allow you to fit it as it is lined up. However, you will need to there'll be a certain amount of alterations, dressing required for the internal spectacle plates, certainly the front one. The rear one isn't so much of a problem, although the locker that is in the rear, if you can just see it, the locker there has some raised hinges on the outside, and it's quite difficult to get the cutout around those, especially if you've done what I've done, which is paint it beforehand. But there's a certain amount of touching up that does need to be done, but that can be done at a later stage. The other thing is that I've left the roof off my model so I can fit crew at a later date. So that's it, it's finished. The DCC chip I've used these No More Nails double-sided pads. The actual chip, the Zemo chip, is underneath the firebox, stuck up, and I've put the speaker facing up in the front. I've also, because it's got a stay alive capacitor, I've also fixed that down because the ground at the end of it is exposed, so you don't want that wobbling around and touching something that it shouldn't. The little adapter thing that I made for the 8-pin NEM plug to the pickups and the motor, I've used some Gorilla Tape to insulate it, and that's about it. That's about it. One final comment, or 2 final comments I should add. You will not be able to get the chassis in the body if you have already fitted the buffers. So the buffers need to be fitted after you have put the chassis in the body. If you've used the motor that DJH recommend, which is the Slater's GB30, that won't be too much of a problem, because there is a cutout, if you remember, in the chassis, that in the body, sorry, that the motor fits up, because it's a CAN motor. I've used, this is fitted with a rather larger motor from ABC, and it doesn't fit through the slot, so that made it a little bit more awkward getting the body in. But no matter what you do, which motor you have, you will not be able to fit the buffers until the chassis is in the body. And the final thing is that the front bogie, it's easier to do. There are 4 screws that hold the chassis to the body, 4 M2 screws, and they're the front ones are very difficult to get at, and I found it easier to remove the bogie so that I could get to them. But there you go, one A8 69875, ready to be numbered and lined out. And as I said earlier, watch out for this running in the series of videos that I've started making about building my layout. I hope you've enjoyed this, although I didn't demonstrate any of my modelling techniques, and as I mentioned earlier, this building this kit, while not entirely for a beginner, you would have to be sort of reasonably experienced to build it. Although it is relatively straightforward, there are one or two things that need adjusting. It doesn't fall out the box and fall together completely, but compared to some other kits, it is a pleasure to build this. And please watch out for the series on the G5 when it gets delivered, and that will feature some more modelling techniques because it is designed for a beginner. So thank you for watching. Watch out for more videos that I make and other people make on the DJH Guild website. Thank you for watching.